So you want to be creative, but you're struggling because either you're burnt out or you don't know where to start or you're overwhelmed by all the choices. So I'm going to give you some advice that I found that has worked for me. But of course, this is stuff that I found that's worked for me. It might not work for you. Sorry, not Barjack. My cat is having the zoomies. And of course, um, I only know what I know through my own experiences. So take what I say with a grain of salt. Um, but maybe it will help you or it'll help you figure out what works for you. So I have a few things. One of them is self-help books or reading. I'm currently reading The Creative Act, A Way of Being. And I think it's great in moderation with like self-help books. I think it can really help you get out of those headsets or mindsets. I meant to say headspace is not. um, but I think too much self help can make you feel kind of overwhelmed, and it might do you less good. You don't always want to be working. I think it's good to take breaks and consume things that are just a comfort to you or that you really like. But I think also to get out of your headspace, reading other people's creative journeys can be really helpful. So I've been reading The Creative Act, and I find there's a lot of helpful tidbits in here. Um, and then I also have The Artist's Way, which I super recommend. I've done it once, kind of, because I didn't fully commit. I started really well, and then I kind of ended badly. So I'm restarting it, taking my time with it. But I did find when I was doing it, I had more creativity, or creativity came to me easier. So I definitely recommend it if you're in a rut, especially post grad. I know after you're in school, um, you can be really burnt out because you've just been doing so many assignments, so much work. And in school, really, most of the time, you only have to worry about school. But once you're past that, you can be working either in the field you want or just a day job. And then you do all of your creative work outside of that. And it can definitely be draining. Um, the concept of free time, if you've been like a very busy person for most of your life, very busy with school or extracurriculars, you can find that once you have free time or the freedom to kind of create your own schedule, it can be really overwhelming. And you don't know where to start, that sort of thing. I recommend lists. Make lists of things you like to do, or goals you have for yourself, and then you can go through and see which ones really resonate for you, because you don't want to overdo it. You want free time. You want to make sure you have kind of those creative breaks and breathers, like going out into nature. I find that taking breaks like a walk or just going out and being in the sun, feeling the breeze, listening to the trees, just those little moments can really help me become inspired again, or just recharge. I think recharging is super important. You do not need to be productive and working every single day. Do I do that? Not all of the time. um, it sounds like I'm really put together, like I'm reading, I'm doing all these things, but I'm really trying to be more consistent because I haven't always been. So I'm just kind of sharing things that I'm trying, and trying to be more consistent and better with, because I definitely get into the mindset of like, oh, I gotta work, 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 no breaks. If I sit, it feels like I'm not being productive, but you are being productive because you're resting and you're resetting your creative spirit, which is really important. With that being said, I think it's important when you're making work to not be too upset if it doesn't turn into anything. I think all work, as long as you're doing it, is good work, because the fact that you're creating is good. keeping a sketchbook, experimenting with paintings, writing, keeping a journal, keeping some sort of database of all your work or the things you like is really important, I think, um, just to kind of help you not internalize everything. Because I think once we get into that routine of like, oh, I have ideas, but I'm keeping them to myself, or I don't feel like I'm ready to do anything yet, or I don't know where to start, you're kind of just like in a bad cycle of internalizing. You're not emoting, you're not externalizing, you're not expressing. Um, so I think it's important to also have those kind of like burn books or little messy creative things that you're doing or little hobbies where it's you don't put any stakes. This is not my job, this is not what makes me money, or I don't have any expectations for this, so I can do whatever. Those are really important moments. I think even in your work it's good to not have expectations sometimes and let the creativity flow, because I think structure is good, but if you overstructure, you can be taking away that creativity that we had so easily when we were children because we didn't think about structure. I think also physical activity, as I said earlier with walking in nature, I think is really important, because I think as artists we can be very emotional people, um, and that also or that emotion also, and one of those emotions is also anger. So I think having workouts daily, stretching daily is important because we get those kind of stale emotions, stale energy out, and we release tension, and it kind of helps us be present in the moment, and be able to pull from what's going on in our lives to make our work. Because I think being a great artist is pulling from things you've experienced, things that are happening to you, things that you see, observe. I think that's where a lot of great art stems from. And then our creativity kind of intertwines with that and creates the beautiful things that we create, and creates the wonderful art people get to see every day, um, and even the stuff you consume. I think with consuming as well, I think you need to be cautious, because we definitely can overconsume, especially in this digital era, where there's just so much available to us on the internet. I think it's good to limit it, um, or be very intentional, because I think there's a lot of great stuff on the internet, on Instagram, and for you to look at and to be inspired by other artists. I think you just have to be intentional and not overindulgent. And I think using print materials like books, art books, going in person to see shows is really important to kind of build your own database that you can come back to when you're feeling a little overwhelmed by what's going on in the world, through the news and like social media. I think it's important to come back to those techniques, especially if you were privileged enough to go to art school. I think utilizing what we've learned in those classes and from the teachers and the books they gave us, and those materials, online newspaper or news articles, about other artists, or even the little clips that we watch sometimes. I think long form content is really great, um, incorporating even other classes. I think even if we've graduated, we never stop learning. And I know I love learning and learning new things, and the curriculum or the repetition or consistency that a class can offer. I kind of like that while going about the rest of my week or days life. Since art can be so all over the place, it's nice to have some consistency or some repetition in your routine, but not too much, because then I think it can seem like every day is the same day, which you don't really want. But it might work for you. Who knows? So I think having little courses is really fun because I think there's a lot of online free stuff like YouTube and free courses that you can find with things you like. I do masterclass as well. It's not free, but I think it's good because it can be really inspiring to hear from other successful creatives on how they do things. Again, not to say that you need to just be doing that. Or circling back to the self help sort of situation, um, I think everything is good in small amounts. We don't want to overdo it because we're human at the end of the day and we're allowed to make mistakes and we should make mistakes to learn. And I think some of the best art is made through trial and error and mistakes. So I think it's good to cultivate that kind of energy as well as trying to learn and move forward. Um, so I think a good balance of both is good. But those are kind of like the things that I use to kind of get that stale energy out. Same with like consuming other people's art, whether it's reading or films, TV. I think sometimes that helps, but also taking breaks, like taking a whole day off or a whole week off from creating, can be really refreshing um, to get like a new perspective, or even getting perspectives from your community, your friends is really great because I know once we've left school, we lose that kind of communal art space where we can get feedback from others. So it can be kind of hard to get out of our own heads. So I definitely recommend utilizing your friends or finding a community near you where you can share your work and get feedback without it being the final piece, I guess. What I mean, I think that's important. Um, I think community as artists is kind of what keeps us accountable and keeps us moving forward. Um, but yes, that's kind of my creativity advice and what I found has worked for me. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe. Let me know what you want to see from me. I'm just happy to share. Okay guys, so I am working on a little chainmail for a costume I'm making for the short film I'm working on. So I have these little shoulder pieces that I've made so far. These were kind of the first pieces I started working on. And now I'm starting to work on the triangles. I have two little bowls full of closed and unclosed of the rings, so I have them ready to go. Right now I'm just going through and hooking my little pieces that I have together. I'll put a little sticky note on the side to show you the formation of the weave I'm doing for this chainmail. So basically you make little kind of 5 links and then you link those links together, and then that's how I'm creating kind of the shapes that I have. And I just use my pliers to kind of hook them together. There's like a technique. I will also put in some links for the chainmail tutorials that I use that I found to be really helpful, because it definitely is a process and it took me a while to get it. All the small little parts can definitely be kind of confusing. And knowing which orientation, how to do things, I've definitely messed up a few times with like the direction of how things are going, especially when I'm trying to hook together two of the triangle pieces together. There's definitely been some frustration. So if you do want to learn how to make your own chainmail, definitely recommend some patience, and just like trial and error. You will have to set aside a lot of time to get things done. Just warning you. Now I have the triangle done, and I'm just going to fix the edges, because when you kind of put together the links, it has like a rough edge, so I just fix the edges, which there are tutorials about that too as well, just so you can make it a nice triangle. And now I'm just putting it together to create that diamond shape. Now I have my diamond shape, so I just put the little pieces on the end, so it's a nice sharper edge, and it looks like this. So you have your little diamond for the chest piece, and I have the shoulder piece as well, so I'll hook those together and keep making some triangles, because I want to make like a thigh length kind of dress. Very ambitious. But this is kind of the sneak peek. Thank you for watching.